This is honestly one of those things that I feel like I probably shouldn't have been given. Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. Today we're taking a first look, run, and review of the Makera Carvera Air. And this is a home CNC machine, which I honestly was like, this can't be a thing. How is it that we are living in an age where we've got not just additive style manufacturing like 3D printers, but also reductive style manufacturing like a CNC machine at home that I can just use anytime I want? It's really spectacular where technology is taking not just everything, but this hobby in general. And we'll get into the specifics of this machine, but I do want to state right away that Makera did send me this machine for review at no cost to myself. That said, and I'm giving away the whole review right now, but if they hadn't given me a machine, I would be one of the first ones to line up and grab one, because honestly, this is a game changer for this hobby. It is going to absolutely change the way you look at it and what you are capable of at home. Okay, let's get into it. If you're not familiar with CNC machining, it stands for Computer Numerical Control. A CNC machine is essentially a machine that can mill or remove material to create a part, whereas printers, 3D printers for example, are additive, where you are adding filament out of a nozzle to create a part. CNC machines do basically the reverse, and they remove material to create that same part. A company that you might be familiar with that does a lot of machining is Vanquish Products. They have very specialized 5-axis machines at their disposal to create some pretty amazing aluminum parts. This is similar to that, but on a much smaller and a much simpler scale. I'm probably not the best person to describe how CNC machining works, but basically, you feed this machine a set of instructions to move a tool head in 3 different axes, X, Y, and Z. And when you do that, you can create some pretty spectacular things. Of course, you have to have some knowledge of design or helpful links to existing products that you want to make, but Makera does make it quite easy for you to get started. But you shouldn't be turned off by the daunting idea of creating and manufacturing your own parts. It is a very easy setup, and it is a very easy system once you learn some very basics of the software that they provide. Makera has done an excellent job of making an all-in-one machine that not only allows for 3-axis manufacturing, but with an add-on part, 4-axis machining, and we'll get into that later on. Now, I'm very much a noob. I am an absolute newbie to this entire thing. I have some design experience with Fusion 360, and I've been manufacturing and making my own 3D printed parts for a number of years now on a bunch of different machines. But this reductive style of manufacturing is all new to me, and I was a little intimidated when the machine arrived. It is not small, it's big, and it weighs a lot. It's like nearly 100 pounds of equipment that showed up on my door and struggled to get it downstairs and unboxed. Because of the weight of the machine, it definitely feels very premium. This is not a toy in any way. This is a hardcore, serious machine that can do some pretty spectacular things. So keep that in mind. Once it's on a bench, it's not going anywhere. Once I got it unpacked though, setup was pretty straightforward. Plug in a power cable, make sure your power system is set to the proper power delivery for your nation or region that you live in, and power it up. Makera also provides all of the software you'll need to get started. The controller is called Makera, and there is a Makera controller, which you will need to feed in all of your CNC files so the machine can actually do what it's supposed to. And there is also Makera Cam, which is the design software, which gives you pretty basic rudimentary design functions like Fusion 360, but on a much more basic level. It's enough to get started in, but it isn't really designed to create anything It's more about importing files and preparing them for CNC machining. That said, they're both very easy to use and easy to set up as well. The Makera controller software is Wi-Fi enabled, as is the Carvera Air machine. So it's really easy to throw that on a tablet or on a PC or a laptop and have it nearby instead of actually having it physically connected to the machine. And that's actually a reasonably smart way to do it. And it also saves on costs because they don't have to include a screen or an input or anything. It's a very basic machine. It's basically the machining tool head, a moving bed, and that's it. Once you've got everything set up, it's as simple as importing a CNC file and getting started. However, that is where there is a bit of a sticky point. It's not something that I would definitely recommend for someone with zero experience in 3D design or in this sort of world. I relied heavily on the help of my friend Josh to walk me through some of the basics of getting ready to machine my own parts because I really don't have much knowledge. Another great resource, though, is Makera's YouTube channel. They have a ton of tutorials that were wildly helpful, not just with the Makera CAM software, but also with Fusion 360. They've got a great tutorial on getting started, on how to set up tool paths and choosing the right bits. It's a really amazing video. I will be sure to link to it down below. Once I had basic knowledge and understanding of what I was doing, the actual machining part is pretty darn simple. You load up your material. This machine will cut wood. It will cut epoxy boards. It will do PCBs. You can do aluminum, brass, carbon fiber. Really, for our purposes in this RC hobby, you'll find that aluminum and brass are basically all you'll ever need. What's even better is that if you are a beginner and you've really got no background in Fusion 360 or CAD design or machining whatsoever, the Makera team have included a bunch of example projects that you can actually do with the Carvera Air straight out of the box, which is fantastic. They include all of the materials you'll need and all of the end mills, which is great. They do include a wide variety of different end mills for all kinds of different purposes, whether it be engraving, whether it be chamfering, whether it be thread creation, boring. They don't include any drill bits, but that's maybe a small oversight because maybe they don't assume you're going to be doing a lot of drilling. It's really great that they do include all of those example projects because it does give you something to kind of whet your appetite on and see if this is really for you. And trust me, it will be. I do appreciate that there are all those example projects, but I wanted to try to challenge myself straight out of the box. And rather than do any of those, I decided to try machining my own beadlock ring for this Vanquish wheel here. This is a program that I created and set up in Fusion 360 with the help of my friend Shoddy RC. He does really nice beadlock rings, and I wanted to take advantage of one of his designs that he had done for me. So I said, hey, is it okay if you give me the STLs? I want to create my own CNC program and have it set up so I can actually make these myself. And Colton was happy enough to share this with me. And as you can see, it turned out pretty darn spectacularly. For my first effort ever with the Carvera Air, I would say this is a huge success and wildly repeatable because once you have the program, you have that for life. You just program it back into the machine and off you go. I really wanted to do something a little more dimensional, so I found this STL file of this werewolf and I carved this out using one of the engraving bits. It was a pretty long operation. It took about 8-9 hours to do. As you can see, the detail and the complexity of something like this could really come in handy. I'm actually planning on doing all the panels on this buggy with that style of engraving. I think it's going to look really cool. Another part, thanks to Josh, is this rear bed tray here. This was all machined on the Carvera Air, and you can see after a nice polish, it really fits the whole rest of the theme of this truck. And isn't it just so cool to be able to have something machined out of aluminum as opposed to something plastic or 3D printed? The 3D printed part did not look nearly as cool as this, I will tell you that. And it certainly won't be as strong as this either. That's one of the real benefits of having a CNC machine is that instead of 3D printing something in a situation where you needed something to be structurally strong and hold up to a fair bit of abuse, you'd have to print in a pretty heavy infill to get anywhere close to the strength of aluminum, or brass for that matter. And now you can. It's pretty amazing. And really, honestly, the amount of things that are possible with a machine like this are endless. The programming can be a pretty daunting task because you have to think in terms of how this is going to be removing the material and in what steps you want to do things. For example, with this beadlock ring, I started with a piece of 3mm aluminum sheet. I wanted to make sure that I did this in the proper order. So what I did was I started with all of the bolt holes. I drilled each of those holes individually, and then after that I did the quick bore to get down so I could get the bolt head to sit flush with the top of the actual rim of the beadlock ring. Then I moved on to removing all the material in the center section and then carving out the maple leaf. It's a lot of steps, but a lot of steps in the right order make for a great looking part. And I think that's the most important thing to remember, is that this is going to be a series of steps and you have to decide in advance what's going to work. The great thing about both the Makera CAM software and Fusion 360 is that when you are setting up a CNC program, you can simulate each of those steps to see how they're going to work in conjunction with each other. And if there are issues, both programs will tell you that you are doing something wrong. As with anything, mistakes are always possible, and you have to make sure that you remember that this is going to be a learning curve. I have made mistakes. Trust me. I have broken bits, and I have stopped and halted the machine completely. Luckily, there are fail-safes in place, and the Carvera Air, if it detects that there is too much resistance on the end mill, it will stop the operation. There is also an emergency stop button for your purposes in case you've done something silly, and it will stop the machine completely and lock it out. You have to actually go back into the software to physically unlock the machine again. So it's nice that those fail-safes are in place for newbies like me. With each step, there is a strong likelihood that you're going to have to change bits. And this is where one of the things about the Carvera Air, which is a cheaper machine, and it's not its flagship. Makera does make the Carvera, which is a much more full-featured machine. It offers automatic tool changes. The Carvera Air does not, so you have to actually go in and physically change bits between each set of instructions. The machine does alert you and stops and lets you know it's time to change bits. However, you have to do it yourself. So there is a bit more babysitting of the machine that you have to do, unlike the full-featured Carvera. This one does require a little bit more of effort on your part to be around and be involved. And if I'm honest, you shouldn't really be not around when you're doing anything like this, especially if you're going to be using wood or anything that might be even remotely flammable with enough heat and friction. It's good to be around in case. That's why that emergency stop button exists. I have to admit, through all of the machining that I've done, some pretty heavy cuts, because to do this rear floor did require a fair bit of effort. It's not loud. Like, it's a quiet machine. It's actually quieter than some of the 3D printers I've owned, which is pretty amazing to be able to machine at home. I've been in Vanquish's machine shop before, and it's noisy. Of course, they've got wildly huger machines running 24/7 and lots of fans and lots of things going on. But to be able to have a home CNC machine here that doesn't disturb everybody while they're sleeping, pretty amazing stuff. I would recommend you do put it in a workshop though. Probably not something you'd leave on the dining room table. One other feature that is lacking on the Carvera Air is a dedicated vacuum system. The more expensive Carvera does have an integrated vacuum. This machine does not. So you are left up to your own devices to remove material chips as they are carved out of their material. It's a lot of materials. On the tool head, there is still a vacuum box that can be attached or removed. And you can still, and the tubes obviously lead out, so you can print an adapter to fit any number of vacuums that you may have. Shop vacs work great. So at the end of an operation, I will open the hood and vacuum out everything before I take my part out. It's just a personal preference. If you're working with wood or other such things, you might want to have a vacuum running full time. Carvera does provide a tube system with a air assist on the tool head, so you can add an air pump. I've obviously done that because I want to make sure, one, I'm keeping the area clean where I'm machining, and I also want to keep that end mill cool as it's doing the machining. Carvera does offer a 4-axis upgrade, and what the 4th axis is going to do is rotate a part through 360 degrees as it's doing the other operations in both X, Y, and Z. So you can create some pretty fantastically detailed parts in those 4 dimensions, technically. I think the 4th dimension is time. I have yet to really have much success with the 4th axis. I think it's mostly because I was programming in Fusion 360 and it didn't like the Z axis where I was putting the Z point, 0 point. So we're going to work on that and probably follow up with another video once I get that all figured out. Carvera also does offer a 5-watt laser for laser engraving on material. But 5 watts is not very powerful. Even the low-end Bamboo H2D laser is a 10-watt laser, and they do also offer a 40-watt laser. So you can do some pretty wild cuts with those 2 lasers. The 5-watt one really should just be sticking to engraving. And even for that, I don't think I would use it because I have better lasers on other machines. With any CNC machine, you are also capable of making PCB boards. So if you are into homebrew electronics and making your own boards for Arduino projects and whatnot, this is a great machine for that as well. Another feature that I have yet to try out, but I've seen a lot of people have really excellent success with it. So who is this machine good for? If you are someone with decent knowledge of 3D design and you are looking to manufacture your own parts, I'd say this is obviously the machine to go with. A home CNC machine, small footprint, high quality, excellent software. In fact, I've had some better luck with the Makera CAM software than I've had with Fusion. I think it's just primarily because of the way it's set up to work with their own machine. I would say that this is definitely the machine to check out. The price is not cheap. And with that, this is where the caveat comes in, because I think that the price of admission for something like this is actually rather worth it, because you're taking the power into your hands to create things that maybe someone else might make and charge you money for, whereas now you are the one who's making that part and actually learning a whole new set of skills. I honestly, when I got the offer to accept this machine to do a review and to do a demo with, I was really hesitant. And I almost said no, because I didn't think that my skill set was strong enough to be able to do any of these things. How much have I learned since I got it? Tons. And I'm learning new things every day and learning new techniques and learning new ways of making things. And had I decided not to take the machine, I think I would have put myself at a huge disadvantage, because I have learned so much and I've been so inspired to create new things and take my skills to the next level. I really honestly feel it would have been a huge mistake to not say yes to this, and I'm glad I did. I'm so thankful that Josh pushed me to accept this offer with Makera, because honestly, I've learned so much, I've gained so much knowledge, and I am so inspired to create new things. Had they not done that, but I had still seen all of the results, I would have definitely picked one up. I'm that much of a firm believer that this is a really great machine, and it's definitely going to change how I approach this hobby. I can make my own chassis. I can make my own parts. I can make my own beadlock rings. I can make my own accessory parts. I can do anything. If I wanted to, I could probably even carve this out of aluminum for my skid steer project. It'd be a heck of a long setup, but it would be worth it to do something cool like that. In closing, I have to say thank you to Makera for sending me the Carvera Air. It has definitely changed things for me, and I think it could change things for you. If you're interested in picking one up, there will be a link down below, but it's not an affiliate link. You go ahead and purchase one if you think you have the skill set, or if you want to learn a new skill set and create something really fantastic. So to recap, let's talk about some pros and cons. As for the pros, small footprint, quiet, easy to run, easy to set up, and really awesome results. I really do like how the whole system works with the hood. It doesn't allow you to do anything with the hood open, which is really great, safe, nice, and it's really nice and easy to see what's going on in there. It's quite bright. The LED system that they have is great. Some cons: can be a difficult learning curve if you have no experience with 3D. Manual tool changes, not advantageous for those who have long setup programs. You really want to have something a little more automated. That's definitely a disadvantage. No included vacuum or chip removal system. Definitely a negative as well. The bottom of the Carvera being open definitely allows a lot of chips to fall through. That's a bit of a negative as well. It would have been nice if they had included some sort of pull-out tray for those. That would have been really nice. Price, I would say, is a bit of a con. It's not super cheap, but I think that its results and its potential will offset some of that cost. There is no monitoring software. There's no way to view what's being done in the Carvera Air. Unlike the Bamboo Lab series of printers, they have cameras built in and monitoring software that will stop a print if something goes wrong. There's nothing like that here. So you can't remotely see what's going on inside of your CNC machine. You really are limited to just looking at it and seeing what's happening. That's it though. It's a pretty great machine. I was thoroughly impressed with all aspects of it, and had I not been given one, I definitely would be purchasing one. So there you go. That's my first look, run, and review of the Makera Carvera Air, your home CNC solution. It certainly solved a lot of problems for me. What would be the first thing that you would make on your Carvera Air? Put a comment down below. You know I love reading through your feedback, and I try to answer as many of those comments as I can. And of course, if you're enjoying this video and you like seeing a different side of the Scale Builders Guild, where we're taking things in manufacturing or learning about new techniques, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you get updates anytime there's a new video from the Scale Builders Guild. And there will be more projects on the Carvera Air. I'm looking at taking some of this engraving and making full panels for this truck that are engraved. Pretty excited about that possibility. The other thing I'm pretty excited about is being able to share all of this with my channel members. Thank you to all of these gold level ding-dongs for being a part of the channel member program. You get to see all sorts of tips and tricks, how-tos, travel logs, behind the scenes content, and videos like this one early. All very good reasons to be part of a very welcoming community. Definitely check that out. Link down below. Thanks to all of those ding-dongs. My thanks to Josh for helping me with some hurdles in terms of software and nomenclature and understanding some of the terms in 3D CNC designing, and to Makera for sending me the Carvera Air. It's been an awesome experience, and it's definitely staying in the workshop. Game changer for sure. That's going to do it though. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.